everybody. Welcome back to the Routine Podcast.
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 57.
And back for the start of our summer series.
Welcome, everyone.
We've got some good episodes. We've done a lot of interviews already. And I don't even know which one I like the best, although I like the one we're doing today.
If you guys aren't aware, you probably know by the title of the episode, but we spoke with the University of Arkansas's newest head coach, Jordyn Wieber.
Yeah, and it was a fun interview. She's ready.
She is ready. She is down to business.
Yeah, and I was just amazed at, she's only 23 years old. And to have accomplished what she's accomplished in her young gymnastics career is really fascinating.
But before we get into her interview, we have some tweets that we want to read. Going back to our last episode with Alicia Boren. You all really enjoyed that episode.
We did too.
I think that was one of our best interviews that we've done to date.
It was one of our most fun interviews. You know, I think obviously it was Alicia, so that made it fun. We talked to her parents, that made it fun. But I think it was the timing of everything, and that she had competed for the last time the day before. And so she was really relishing in kind of the time at which she was at that point, and she was celebratory. And we got the chance to talk to her while she was right there in that moment. And so I think that meant that she was very willing to share a lot about the season, about the school, about her future. And I think that's what made that interview so much fun.
And we got a tweet from Kat about it. She said, "Love the interviews with Alicia and her parents. It's been so cool to see Alicia's growth as a person and a gymnast over the past few years. I can't wait to see what she accomplishes in the future. P.S. Looking forward to the summer series of the Routine Podcast."
And we also heard from Shelly G 1332. And Shelly says, so excited for her to try out for Cirque du Soleil and be a stunt double, ? I felt the same way about the whole stunt double thing. And in talking to her parents, I think her mom felt that way. I think her dad was like, whatever Alicia wants to do, Alicia can go do. But as moms, we were a little concerned about the stunt double. And then Shelly says, so cool, so well-deserved. So, and we all agree, Shelly. So thanks for sending that tweet.
I think with that interview, it really kind of brought me back down to earth, because especially at nationals, you see all of these amazing, talented gymnasts. You almost see them as being superhuman, but really when you get down to it, they're just like 22, 23-year-old women living their lives like everyone else.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting because prior to us doing the interview with Alicia, she was signing autographs. And I kid you not, the autograph line, there's no way they could have gotten through the whole line.
Yeah.
I mean, it just like went around the building of these young gymnasts, young fans, their parents standing in line wanting autographs. And so Alicia was in that line, right? But then when she talked to us, she was just like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm nervous about talking to you.
It's like, we are nervous to be talking to you.
Yeah. And so it's fun because you don't know what she's going to say. You know the questions you're going to ask about her emotions and how she felt, you know, competing for the last time and about Florida not making it. But you don't know what her answers are going to be. And she was incredibly honest and incredibly sincere. And I think that's what helped to make the interview.
Yeah. I got to admit, there was also a good interviewer.
Oh,
round of applause for mom, guys.
And you know, it's so funny because I don't feel like I'm interviewing. I just feel like I'm wanting to know what's happening in their lives. And when they say one thing, like become a stunt double, you're like, what?
I think that's what makes your interviews so good, though, is that it doesn't seem like an interview. It's more of just a conversation with them. And they also feel that kind of relaxation, too, so they don't seem as nervous.
I hope so. I think I was more nervous interviewing her parents.
Really?
Yeah. As a fellow parent, there's such protection that you have about your daughter. In fact, her mom called me before the interview to talk about the interview and talk about Alicia. And of course, we went on 24 other different subjects. We were on the phone probably 45 minutes before the interview, just talking about our kids and Alicia when she was young and you when you were young. I mean, you would have died of all the stuff that we talked about.
I can imagine what you shared.
But that's kind of how this parent community is. You know, we're in this small circle of intimate friends who've survived this sport together.
I think that's so unique because you had never met her parents. It's like kind of this unspoken community that you all have been through. Once you're a parent of a gymnast, your life is never the same.
Right. And it's kind of like we've all survived. It's like, you're too young, obviously, but there used to be shirts that said, I survived Skylab. You don't remember this at all, right?
What's Skylab?
There was this satellite that they launched. I don't even know what year it was. I want to say the 70s or something like that. And they knew it was going to like come down at some point, but they didn't know where it would come down. And it was called Skylab. And so people wore shirts because the day it was supposed to come down, it didn't land on anybody. Obviously, I think it landed in the desert or in the water or something. But you wore shirts that said, I survived Skylab.
Yeah, I missed that.
Look it up on the Google machine, which we didn't have back then.
Mom, your age is showing.
I know. But anyhow, we should have parent shirts that say, I survived gymnastics.
But I'm glad you all liked the episode, and I think it was a perfect way to end the regular season.
It was.
But since we've last talked with you all, there have been some coaching changes.
Besides Jordyn's.
Yes. So UCLA, Miss Val is officially retired.
Yes.
And I think not to anyone's surprise, really, Chris Waller is officially the head coach of the UCLA women's gymnastics team.
As well he should be.
Yes, very, very well deserved. And actually recently, they also announced associate head coach Christina Comfort, which is very exciting because she also is an alumni of UCLA. So she's coming back to her roots, as they like to say.
And where was she before, do you know?
She was coaching in club, and previously she also coached at the University of Illinois, I believe.
Well, it's going to be interesting for UCLA. Obviously, they had to replace Miss Val, but they also had to replace Jordyn. Mm-hmm. So you've got a whole new little coaching staff team happening.
And I was curious because you got to have a female on the coaching staff.
No, you don't have to. That's very sexist.
Well, let's see. Is there a coaching staff out there, Gymternet, that does not have a female on the coaching staff?
Do you remember the basketball discussion? Muffet, the coach from Notre Dame, said that she's only going to hire women. And people went crazy. But she said, well, when you look at the other teams that have just men on it, nobody says anything. So
it's true.
Right? I kind of say this too. If it's all men, great. If it's all women, great. And you just want the best talent. No?
If you're coaching women, you need to have at least one female coach on the coaching staff.
Well, I can say that as a parent, I wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
Okay, yeah, because I was like, why are you questioning this, Mom?
But as an equal opportunity person, if we're all equal, what the heck?
I suppose. But I don't think there is a coaching staff out there without at least one female.
Okay. Well, that's good then.
And then the University of Utah head coach Megan Marsden announced her retirement after nationals, which I think was very interesting, but also fit her personality.
Sure.
Which I totally respect.
And while we're talking about Utah, can we talk about Michaela? You know, I always love talking about Michaela.
Sure.
Yeah, she's going to try for the Olympics again. Mm-hmm. Go, Michaela.
Go, Michaela. And I think that's actually a great idea because I think she's learned a lot in college gymnastics. So I'm excited to see her bring the skills that she learned at the University of Utah back into her elite career. So continuing on with coaching changes, we actually got a couple of tweets during Jordyn's big announcement day. The first one from @PoeticDiction, and she said, "Okay, routine podcast, you got to talk about Arkansas and Jordyn. I'm so excited. She turned UCLA's floor lineup around so fast, and they had so much depth on floor this year. It was insane."
So question, do you attribute UCLA's floor success to Jordyn?
Absolutely. 150,000%.
What about the gymnast and their talent?
I think UCLA has always had talent on floor. I think they just struggled to bring that out. But ever since Jordyn was the designated floor coach, she's worked with them really since preseason to get them ready. I think the prime example of that, at least in recent years, is Kyla Ross. From her freshman year to her season last year, you can just see the difference.
And the confidence.
The endurance levels are up. So I'm excited to see what Jordyn can do at Arkansas as well.
Sure. And we also got a tweet from @QuadSalto who says, "This UCLA fan is so sad to see Jordyn go, but knows she's about to do big things in Arkansas. Talk about an exciting way to roll out such big news." The ad even gave props to the Gymternet during Jordyn's first press conference.
The Gymternet coming in hot. We're getting global recognition.
And Arkansas did do a great job.
So now let's talk about Jordyn Wieber, the newest addition at the University of Arkansas.
We actually waited a little bit because we wanted all of the hubbub to die down. And did they do great at marketing this?
Oh my gosh. I know you're not on social media, Mom.
No.
But the day of her announcement, literally the Gymternet was insane.
Really?
Like, I was at work just refreshing my Twitter feed, like trying to keep up. Because what they started with, which was really, really good, it was probably like, 10 o'clock in the morning. One of their gymnasts is outside of like the University of Arkansas private plane saying, "We're going to go pick up our new head coach." And that was it. And then they got on the plane, and then the Gymternet got to researching. Yes. And somehow somebody tracked the plane on like Plane Tracker. And like we were all viewing the plane status real time on the internet.
That's so funny.
And it was passing over like Oklahoma. We're like, okay, they're not stopping in Oklahoma. Passing over like Denver. Okay, they're not going to Denver.
And had anybody kind of figured out at this point that it was Jordyn?
I think we all kind of were like, okay, they keep going west.
They're not going east.
You can't go anymore.
Okay.
And then we kind of all just connected the dots, and it made sense.
And so then what happened?
They landed in California, which was kind of a dead giveaway. And then they picked up Jordyn, and they had a picture with Jordyn and the athletic director, and it was Jessica Yamzon and Sarah Schaefer.
I was actually watching it online that morning and waiting for them to come pick me up at the flight. And I was just laughing because, the suspense was so real, and people were guessing and tweeting, and it was just really entertaining to follow along. But the excitement was there, and that's the best response I could have asked for from, what we call the Gymternet, all the gymnastics fans out there on the internet. And it was just so fun. I mean, to have the two girls come out on the plane and come back with me, that was so fun because I hadn't met any of them yet. So that was our first introduction. It was such a blast.
Such a great marketing rollout. Whosever idea that was, you deserve a raise, because everyone was paying attention to that.
Talk about suspense.
Yeah, and then throughout the day, it was like a journey, because then they went to In-N-Out and they got pictures of that, and then they all got back on the plane together and they did a little interview with Jordyn there on the plane, and then they landed and they all met up with the team, and then she had a little speech with them, and it was all captured online for all of us to view.
But you were at work, so you didn't view all of it.
Yeah, I didn't see any of it clearly because I was working hard at work. But I mean, it's just such a great idea because not only are you getting your current fans excited, but also you're creating this opportunity for new fans to get excited about your gymnastics program.
And it's Jordyn Wieber.
Yeah, like what better marketing is there than a former Olympian?
Gold medalist.
Yeah. So such great job, University of Arkansas.
A lot of that died down before we interviewed Jordyn.
Yes.
And so we got the chance to interview her this week and really ask her questions about the decision and what she has in store for the team.
So I think we just should jump right into it. Congratulations on your new position. How does it feel?
It feels great. I'm so excited. Coaching is what I love to do. And, when I knew about this position, I was so excited. I know Arkansas is such an amazing school and they have such a great program. And so I jumped at the opportunity and now I'm just excited to be here and get started.
One of the questions that we got the chance to talk to Jordyn about was her experience at UCLA. She started there as a team manager. And so we were curious as to why. But also, we really wanted to better understand her experience at UCLA and how she felt it prepared her for this job.
I was a team manager for a while. That was such a great opportunity because I couldn't compete for UCLA because of the NCAA rules. And I gave up my eligibility by going professional in the sport. So, the role for me was team manager and I was able to help the team and serve the team in any possible way. And while I was doing that, I was really observing the coaching staff and I was observing the team and seeing how the culture was created and maintained and how a program is run, essentially. So those 3 years were spent, I would say, just observing and taking it all in and almost being like a sponge. And then when I got the opportunity to start coaching, I was so excited. At first, a little apprehensive because I didn't plan on being a coach. But, I thought if this could be a good challenge for me, I'll try it out. And I ended up just loving it. And I think it's such an awesome career. And I get the opportunity to help student athletes and help them reach their athletic goals and also their personal goals. So, when those other 3 years I spent being a volunteer at UCLA, I had some of the best teachers. Valerie Condos Field, she's, in my opinion, one of the best head coaches of all time. And I was able to spend those 3 years learning from her. And she's been my mentor and still will be my mentor. And so I truly believe that I learned from the best. And, even the other assistants there were great. And I learned so much. And I think the best way to learn how to do something is actually doing it. And I appreciate UCLA so much for giving me that opportunity. That was such a great challenge, and it was the best way to learn, I think.
She also talked a lot about how to smooth this transition because, there are athletes currently at the University of Arkansas, obviously, who have worked with previous head coach Mark Cook, who was there for 17 years. And she talked about how she plans to smooth the transition from the previous coaching staff to this new coaching staff.
I think, Mark Cook has done an incredible job building this program from the ground up. And he's really taken it to a level that it was something I looked at and said, okay, that is a great team. And I want to go make it even better. With any big change, there's going to be a little bit of anxiety and not knowing what to expect. And, in my first couple of weeks here, I've just been totally sensitive to that. And, it's a lot of change for someone like me moving from a different state and a new program and all that, but it's even more change for these girls. The motto I'm kind of sticking with myself and that I also am going to express to the team is that sometimes change is uncomfortable, but putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is where you experience the most growth sometimes. So coming in with a new coaching staff and there's going to be some changes, but so far I can tell that the team is ready to embrace the change and they're excited. So I'm excited to have them come back and they're going to do some training this summer. And I'm excited to get in the gym with them finally and see what they've been working on.
I think similarly, we asked her about her goals. Every head coach wants to have their own imprint on a school and a school's success. And Jordyn wasn't any different at all in terms of what her expectations are for herself and for the school.
One of my big goals is, as it relates to the team, is figuring out what is the team culture and how can we improve it? How can we make the team tighter and more tough and more together? The culture is one thing I really want to dial in with these girls. And it's something that I saw, a big transformation when I was at UCLA with the team culture. And eventually it led us to being able to win a championship in 2018. So I know how important culture is to a team's success. And so I'm excited to kind of get a handle on where they're at with all of that and see how I can improve it, make it better and help these girls have, the best team culture they possibly can. Another goal is obviously elevating the skill level of these athletes. They're so talented, and I know that they're capable of doing a lot of different skills. So I'm excited to see what they want to work on this summer to eventually be able to compete next year. Many other teams are stepping up their game with their skills, so we need to do the same. Another huge goal I have is packing up Barnhill and getting as many fans as I can in there, and really creating some excitement and some buzz around this team. Because when you look at it, this team is a big group of individual and amazing athletes. Yes, they're a team, but they all have their unique differences and their unique talents. And I'm excited to get fans excited about them and develop that fan base and get more people in the stands. So those are just a few of the goals, but those are the main ones I'd say.
And to help her reach those goals, last week she announced the coaching staff that will be joining her next season.
So our first assistant is Chris Bogantes. He has been an assistant coach previously at the University of Illinois and before that, Utah State. He is a very awesome technical coach, recruiter. He will probably most likely coach bars for us here at Arkansas. You know, right from the beginning when I was beginning the interview process with him, I could tell he has huge belief that this program can succeed. So that was something that really stood out to me in the interview process. And so we're excited to have Chris here with us. And then the other assistant, also named Chris, Chris Brooks. We're going to have to come up with some creative nicknames for the two of them to decipher. But Chris Brooks, 2016 Olympian. He's been coaching on the Oklahoma men's team for the past year. And before that, the Nebraska women's gymnastics team. So he's got a wealth of knowledge, both from his coaching experience and before that, his own competitive experience. He competed until he was 29 years old in the sport and has gone through just about everything as well. And so he brings energy, he brings passion. He truly, truly cares about the development of student athletes, both as athletes and as people. So I think, we've got some really good assistant coaches, and I'm so excited to get them in the gym and start working with the team.
One of the questions that I was most interested in learning about was obviously Jordyn's young. She's 23 years old. And this is a big job for somebody as young as she is. But I think what Jordyn shared with us is that she's got all the experiences that her new athletes can relate to. And she believes she's going to be able to relate in a way that other head coaches aren't able to.
Especially now with everything that's going on within the gymnastics community. I think if gymnasts are able to relate to their coaches, it will help combat some of the issues that we're experiencing in the gymnastics community.
I've been through, pretty much anything that these girls are going to go through, I've been through myself. Being able to relate to these athletes, that's an area where my age is really going to benefit because not too long ago, I was in their shoes, sort of, and competing at that high of a level and dealing with all the pressures that come with that. So I think, in a lot of ways I can relate to them and I can speak to my own experience, having been there not too long ago. I've dealt with things like injuries and mental blocks and confidence issues and being able to compete at that high level under those immense amounts of pressure. It's an experience that I think has benefited me as a coach. When I see these girls going through some of those similar challenges, I can speak to my own experience and really guide them and help them along their journey as athletes. And I think, especially with recruiting, I think that's an area where I really feel like my age is going to be a huge benefit because, this generation of young girls coming up in this sport, they're a different generation. They see the world differently. And I think that's something that I have a pretty good handle on, and I can relate to these recruits in a different way than say, some older coaches.
So we're so excited for Jordyn and her new coaching staff, as well as all of the gymnasts at the University of Arkansas. She said that so far, everyone at Fayetteville has been so welcoming, which is awesome for her. And we can't wait to see the great things that she does with the program.
That's been the one thing that stood out to me since I've gotten here is just the wealth of support, both within the university and even just when I'm going out in Fayetteville and going grocery shopping, people saying hi, wishing me luck. And you can just tell that everybody in this town, everyone in this area is just a cheerleader for the Razorbacks. And to me, that's such an amazing feeling. It's I feel very supported in this new role, and it's definitely a little bit of a challenge being this young, being a head coach, but I feel like I have the best team surrounding me, both with this athletic department and with every Razorback fan in this whole state.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I'm so excited to watch your gymnastics coaching career continue to develop. And I'm sure you all are going to do amazing things. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for talking with me.
Yeah, no problem.
So it was a really good interview. Jordyn, thank you so much for talking with us, and especially the length of time that you were able to talk with us. And Michael, Thank you so much for coordinating the interview. We really appreciate all the time and the effort to help make this happen.
And we look forward to watching the Razorbacks next year.
Absolutely. So I think we kicked off our summer series in a great way, Chels.
Yeah. Welcome to all of our new listeners. For those of you who don't know what our summer series is, during this time we upload every other Thursday, and the episodes are more in-depth interviews with members within the gymnastics community. So if it's coaches, if it's gymnasts, if it's fans, parents, doctors, psychologists, anyone that's making an impact in the gymnastics community, we try and talk with them.
Yeah, and some of the interviews will be fun like today's. Some will be more serious and topics that we as a group should focus on.
So on the schedule so far, we have Devorah Myers, who is a writer, famously, although she wouldn't use the word famously probably, but earlier this year she wrote an article about if the scores should be 5 up, 5 count versus 6 up, 5 count. So we talked with her about her article.
So speaking of fun interviews, Devorah was a fun interview.
That was such a fun interview. Oh my gosh, she's so cool.
She really is.
We also are talking to our good friend in Canada, Coach McCharles.
Yes, and we're talking about Canada in this interview.
We are. We were happy to be able to talk with him. He wasn't traveling around the world in the moment, although in the near future, he's going to be all over the place.
And he just came back from being all over the place. And we also talked to Dr. Dave Tilley. You may remember Dr. Tilley from our last summer series. He's a sports medicine doctor, coach, but more importantly, he wants to change the culture of this sport. And he talks to us about that.
And those are just a few of our summer series topics so far. So if you all have a topic idea that we should discuss over the summer, tweet us, let us know. We are open to suggestions and we would love your input.
Yeah, it's been great fun so far. Again, we've got about 5 interviews complete. Every single one of them I love. And again, I don't know which one's my favorite, to be honest.
They really all have been great.
And different, right?
Yeah,
so different.
Yeah. So we can't wait to share them.
And before you leave us, we just want to thank College Gym News for working with us. College Gym News is your one-stop shop for all things college gymnastics. For event coverage, leotard rankings, in-depth features, fantasy gymnastics resources, and more, visit collegegymnews.com. And if you're interested in supporting College Gym News' expanding coverage, visit collegegymnews.com/donate. College Gym News, all the college gymnastics news you want, all in one place.
As always, we want you to continue the conversation with us. If you like what you heard today, be sure to rate us on the Apple Podcasts app. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And be sure to tweet us. Our Twitter is @RoutinePodcasts. Or you can email us at info@theroutinepodcast.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
And you do that by scrolling to the top navigation. You'll see something that says be a part of the conversation. You click that and then you scroll to the bottom of the page. You'll see a microphone. You click the microphone and you leave us a voicemail message, especially if there's someone you want us to talk to as part of our summer series.
And as always, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your support. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.